Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The content I'm going to show you is something that happened earlier today on Capitol Hill with Mark Zuckerberg being grilled by members of Congress from both sides, if anybody can believe that. The information you're going to hear, if you haven't heard it already, is it's always disturbing, but it's not surprising at this time because it's been happening for so long, and for some reason now all the dog whistles are going off. So I decided to want to do this content because it's something that I've been trying to put out before on other videos, other content creators, other people trying to blow the whistle, especially with a certain movie that came out months ago, where people on the left and the mainstream media were mocking and trying to shut down, not only here in the States, but basically all around the world, which is not surprising, in my opinion. But before I continue, don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe. Give it a thumbs up, pass the channel around. If you can help support the channel, I'll leave a link in my description to my Cash App and PayPal, and also the link to my merch store, trueoutlawpatriot.com. I also want to give a special shout out to one of my subscribers from Rumble, Savvy, who bought one of my t-shirts today. I have been selling shirts, but she's my first online buyer. So I'm pretty happy with that. All I can say is thank you so much, and wear it proud. This is America, and this is a movement. So don't forget to visit the merch store and get your t-shirts also. So without further ado, I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to, step in. There's two clips I'm going to play, this one and the one after this. So bear with me, pay attention, people, because this, when it comes to children, I understand that a lot of people, watch content and then they'll go and, they'll look through either the whole thing or half of it and come back to it later, stuff like that. But this is very important, okay? When it comes to children, the only people that should not be interested are the ones that want to do harm to children. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth, okay? There's people out there that want to harm children, so I understand if they don't want to listen to this. They're going to just forget about it, pass right by it and go about their, their sinister business. But to anybody out there that loves children, whether you have children or not, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, your neighbors, friends, whatever, if you truly love children, you need to watch what's going on. So without further ado, let's continue.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Zuckerberg.
With the phone, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I know both of them.
That was good enough. Mr. Zuckerberg, you know who Antigone Davis is, correct?
Yes.
She's one of your top leaders. In September of 2021, she was global head of safety, correct?
Yes.
And you know that she came before a subcommittee of the Commerce Committee that I chaired at the time, Subcommittee on Consumer Protection, correct?
Yes.
And she was testifying on behalf of Facebook, right?
Meta, but yes.
It was then Facebook, but Meta now. And she told us, and I'm quoting, Facebook is committed to building better products for young people and to doing everything we can to protect their privacy, safety, and well-being on our platforms. And she also said, kid safety is an area where, quote, we are investing heavily, end quote. We now know that statement was untrue. We know it from an internal email that we have received. It's an email written by Nick Clegg. You know who he is, correct?
Yes.
He was Meta's president of global affairs, and he wrote a memo to you, which you received, correct? It was written to you.
So I can't see the email, but sure, I'll assume that you got that correct.
And he summarized Facebook's problems. He said, quote, we are not on track to succeed for our core well-being topics: problematic use, bullying and harassment, connections, and SSI, meaning suicidal self-injury. He said also in another memo, quote, "We need to do more, and we are being held back by a lack of investment." This memo has the date of August 28th, just weeks before that testimony from Antigone Davis, correct?
Sorry, Senator, I'm not sure what the testimony was.
Well, those are the dates on the emails. Nick Clegg was asking you, pleading with you for resources to back up the narrative, to fulfill the commitments. In effect, Antigone Davis was making promises that Nick Clegg was trying to fulfill, and you rejected that request for 45 to 84 engineers to do well-being or safety. We know that you rejected it from another memo, Nick Clegg's assistant, Tim Colburn, who said, Nick did email Mark, referring to that earlier email, to emphasize his support for the package, but it lost out to the various other pressures and priorities. We've done a calculation that those potentially 84 engineers would have cost Meta about $50 million in a quarter when it earned $9.2 billion. And yet it failed to make that commitment in real terms, and you rejected that request because of...
Okay, I'm going to stop right here real quick. Now, the reason why I'm stopping it, and before I make my comment on the amount of money that Meta makes, I am going to give credit to these Democrats here that are grilling Mark Zuckerberg. I'm not even going to go as far as to say that I think it's all suspect, because you know what? Like I said, or I should say, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that some of these people on the left have a heart enough to want to tackle what's going on with Facebook, Meta, Instagram, all owned by Mark Zuckerberg. But I do have to be critical here. This is the kind of money that Facebook makes. $9.2 billion in a quarter. By the end of the year, it turns out to be $39.4 billion. Okay, now he's going to say the numbers, okay, of what was asked for Mark Zuckerberg to put safeguards in place. But my thing is this. Like I said, I'm giving him credit, you know, for getting Mark Zuckerberg up there and grilling on him. But I wonder if they felt the same, because a lot still has to be unveiled. But I wonder if they felt the same when Mark Zuckerberg donated over $800 million to the Democratic Party. Just one of my thoughts that I think that deserves an answer. And I think a lot of people, okay, should start asking that question, especially now that the Democrats have sided with Republicans to question Mark Zuckerberg on the tactics that are going on in Facebook, Instagram, on Meta, of how they push content out for minors and young adults. But let's continue.
Other pressures and priorities. That is an example from your own internal document of failing to act, and it is the reason why we can no longer trust Meta and, frankly, any of the other social media to, in effect, grade their own homework. the public, and particularly the parents in this room, know that we can no longer rely on social media to provide the kind of safeguards that children and parents deserve. And
now I'm going to stop it again. This right here, what he's saying, people have to take this with a lot of caution. Okay? Because even though I said that I'll give them, these Democrats, the benefit of the doubt that they really want to get something done to safeguard children, okay, I now will have to say I am suspect whenever the left says that they don't trust social media. And I think a lot of people are going to understand where I'm coming from on this. Okay? Now, I know that I say a lot of times that when the Democrats want to put bills out, they always fill it with an extra pork on the side and all that so they can get what they want. I'm hoping that this is not one of the cases where, since I always say that the left, they eat themselves, and they already got a ton of money from Mark Zuckerberg, I hope this is not a situation where they're going to throw him under the bus, and rightly so, not throw him under the bus, but rightly so, they should point them out for what he's doing and not doing. But I hope it's not something where they're going to throw him under the bus because they're going to want to take control or pass laws to control social media. That's just my opinion, people. So just keep that in mind from this day forward, especially with this case that's going on, the way they're questioning Mark Zuckerberg on Capitol Hill. Okay? Keep that in mind in the long term. But let's continue.
that is the reason why passing the Kids Online Safety Act is so critically important. Mr. Zuckerberg, do you...
Now that right there, the Kids Online Safety Act, keep that in mind, okay? Because if there's one thing that we've learned as of late, when it comes to the left, when they come to safety for the kids, they have been trying to pass laws, okay, that actually do more harm to kids over a certain topic, okay? Actually, over a few topics, okay? With critical race theory, what is that? DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, the transgender issue in the schools, parents, being held against their will if they don't, want to push the issue of identifying their children's gender or pronouns or whatever the case is. Okay? So we need to be very careful that this Safety Act bill they want to put for kids is going to be 100% legit and not something where they can use as a tool later on to say, well, we have to pass this law now because everybody agreed that it's part of the Child Safety Act law. Okay? But like I said, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to kids and when it comes to certain things, this is where everybody, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of how you vote, if you love children, go through these bills, go through these laws with a fine-tooth comb. Okay? And if you smell it, if you smell the BS, then call it out. But let's continue.
You believe that you have a constitutional right to lie to Congress?
Senator, no, but I mean.
Well, let me just clarify.
I love. I'm gonna rewind this. Now, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, but I love the way he says this and the way the crowd gasps. Pay attention.
Have a constitutional right to lie to Congress?
Senator, no.
He's asking him, does he think he has the constitutional right to lie to Congress? I'm going to get critical on this. It's funny that it's coming, that those words are coming out the mouth of a Democrat with everything that has been going on. But I digress on that. We're going to stick to this right now, but let's continue.
But I mean.
Well, let me just clarify for you.
I mean, I'd like the opportunity
Let me
to
just
respond
clarify
to-
for you. In a lawsuit brought by hundreds of parents, some in this very room, alleging that you made false and misleading statements concerning the safety of your platform for children. You argued in not just one pleading, but twice, in December and then in January, that you have a constitutional right to lie to Congress. Do you disavow that filing in court?
Senator, I don't know what filing you're talking about, but I testified
filing
honestly
from-
and truthfully, and I would like the opportunity to respond to the previous things that you showed as well.
Well, I have a few more questions, and let me ask others who are here, because I think it's important to put you on record. Who will support the Kids Online Safety Act? Yes or no? Mr. Sidgren?
There are parts of the act that we think are great.
No, it's a yes or no question. I'm going to be running out of time, so I'm assuming the answer is no, if you can't answer yes.
We very much think that the national privacy
That's a
standard
no.
would be great.
Mr. Siegel?
Senator, we strongly support the Kids Online Safety Act, and we've already implemented many of its core provisions.
Thank you. I welcome that support, along with Microsoft's support. Mr. Chu?
Senator, with some changes, we can support it.
Well, in its present form, do you support it? Yes or no?
We are aware that some groups have raised some concerns. It's important to understand.
I'll take that as a no. Mr. Yacob?
Now, when he says some groups have raised some concerns, I'm assuming that guy is the CEO to TikTok. Now, one could only guess what groups he's talking about, and this is where social media is doing a disservice, because as everybody knows, there is a major push, okay, and it's more of a campaign. I mean, it's a major campaign to push the transgender issue on all social media, okay, in schools, in the public, in the home, in churches, you name it, they are pushing it left and right. And the mainstream media is helping them. And many people in Capitol Hill are helping them push that issue. So when I look at these guys that can't answer the question, now, once again, we don't know exactly what they're saying, okay? Or I don't know exactly. Maybe somebody else that's watching this or that will watch this will know that there are some things that they can't support. It makes you wonder, what exactly is it? Okay, but let's continue.
Ms. Yacob?
Senator, we support COSA and will continue to make sure that it accelerates and make sure it continues to offer community for teens that are seeking that voice.
Mr. Zuckerberg?
Senator, we support the age-appropriate content standards, but would have some
Yes or
suggestions
no,
on how to
Mr.
implement them.
Zuckerberg? Do you support the Kids Online Safety Act? It's
Senator,
a
I think
measure
these are
that is
nuanced
public,
things.
and I'm just asking whether you'll support it or not.
These are nuanced things. I think that the basic spirit is right. I think the basic ideas in it are right, and there are some ideas that I would debate how to best
Okay,
implement them.
unfortunately, I don't think we can count on social media as a group or big tech to support this measure. And in the past, we know it's been opposed by armies of lawyers and lobbyists. We're prepared for this fight, but I am very, very glad that we have parents here, because tomorrow we're going to have an advocacy day. And the folks who really count, the people in this room who support this measure, are going to be going to their representatives and their senators, and their voices and faces are going to make a difference. Senator Schumer has committed that he will work with me to bring this bill to a vote, and then we will have real protection for children and parents online. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now that was the first clip. I'll play the second clip in a minute. See, this is where people, like I say, you have to pay attention, okay? Because, like I said, there's been a big push and big campaign for people to mind their business when an adult wants to mutilate a child's body, okay? With adults wanting to take kids to drag shows and stuff like that. Adults wanting to join young girls' swimming teams or soccer teams and stuff, and they want to change in the locker rooms. So when you put all that together, you have to question. You got to question all of this right now, people. Is the bill that they want to pass going to totally protect children and not protect them, saying, well, my child is protected if my 3-year-old tells me my little son wants to wear a dress, so I'm going to go get him mutilated to be a little girl. You see how we have to be careful with this? Because this is where the powers that be, people will start using certain laws and mixing things up, and it'll all be guised under a protection act. Okay? So going forward, you have to pay attention in the schools. Parents get engaged with the curriculum in children's schools, at home, with their guidance counselors, you name it, wherever your child is going to be, you deserve the right to find out what's going on. Okay? Wherever you think a child is going to be coerced into believing in something that they normally wouldn't, you need to get involved. All these doctors that want to push this issue and try to tell people, you know what, if you don't do this for your child, they're going to commit suicide. You need to get in the middle and get involved. I can go on with this forever, but I want to show the next clip. Okay? And it's from the same hearing. Okay? So let's continue. Pay attention.
Chairman, thank you to each of you for coming, and I know some of you had to be subpoenaed to get here, but we do appreciate that you all are here. Mr. Chu, I want to come to you first. We've heard that you're looking at putting a headquarters in Nashville, and likewise in Silicon Valley and Seattle, and what you're going to find probably is that the welcome mat is not going to be rolled out for you in Nashville like it would be in California. There are a lot of people in Tennessee that are very concerned about the way TikTok is basically building dossiers on our kids, the way they are building those on their virtual you. And also that information is held in China, in Beijing, as you responded to Senator Blumenthal and I last year in reference to that question. And we also know that a major music label yesterday said they were pulling all of their content off your site because of your issues on payment, on artificial intelligence, and because of the negative impact on our kids' mental health. So we will see how that progresses. Mr. Zuckerberg, I want to come to you. We have just had, Senator Blumenthal and I, of course, have had some internal documents and emails that have come our way. One of the things that really concerned me is that you referred to your young users in terms of their lifetime value of being roughly $270 per teenager. And each of you should be looking at these kids. Their t-shirts they're wearing today say, I'm worth more than $270. We've got some standing up in those t-shirts. Now, and some of the children from our state, some of the children, the parents that we have worked with, just to think, whether it is Becca Schmidt, David Malak, Sarah Flatt, Annalie Schote, would you say that life is only worth $270? What could possibly lead you? I mean, I listened to that. I know you're a dad. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom. And how could you possibly even have that thought? It is astounding to me. And I think this is one of the reasons that states, 42 states are now suing you because of features that they consider to be addictive, that you are pushing forward. And in the emails that
I'm going to cut it real quick. Now, I know this is going to be a lengthy video, so please bear with me. 42 states want to sue Mark Zuckerberg. Okay? I like to know which of the states that didn't jump on board over this. It makes you wonder, okay, where people's priorities are at. Just food for thought. Let's continue.
We've got from 2021 that go from August to November. There is the staff plan that is being discussed, and Antigone Davis, Nick Clegg, Sheryl Sandberg, Chris Cox, Alex Schultz, Adam Masseri are all on this chain of emails on the well-being plan. And then we get to one, Nick did email Mark for emphasis, to emphasize his support for the package, but it sounds like it lost out to various other pressures and priorities. See, this is what bothers us. Children are not your priority. Children are your product. Children you see as a way to make money.
Did you hear that? See, the way they do things is they break it down to the penny and say, okay, a child is worth $270 for the lifetime that child, let's say from 9 years old to 12 years old, they spread it out. The lifetime they're going to be, let's say, on Facebook, right? So then they open up all these different little platforms on Facebook for children. So you take $270, you times that by, I don't know, 100 million children worldwide. You do the math. And then he couldn't even dish out $50 million to put extra people to monitor safety concerns and safety issues and safety standards. Meanwhile, in 2021, you seen the graph that was brought up by a Democrat. He made nearly, Meta made nearly $40 billion. Let's continue.
And children, protecting children in this virtual space, you made a conscious decision. Even though Nick Clegg and others were going through the process of saying, this is what we do. These documents are really illuminating, and it just shows me that growing this business, expanding your revenue, what you were going to put on those quarterly filings, that was the priority. The children were not. It's very clear. I want to talk with you about the pedophile ring because that came up earlier, and the Wall Street Journal reported on that. And one of the things that we found out was after that became evident, then you didn't take that content down. And it was content that showed that teens were for sale and were offering themselves to older men. And you didn't take it down because it didn't violate your community standards. Do you know how often a child is bought or sold for sex in this country? Every 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes, a child is bought or sold for sex. That's not my stat. That is a TBI stat. Now, finally, this content was taken down after a congressional staffer went to Meta's global head of safety. So would you please explain to me and to all these parents why explicit predatory content does not violate your platform's terms of service or your community standards?
Sure, Senator. Let me try to address all the things that you just said. It does violate our standards. We work very hard to take it down.
Didn't take it down.
We've reported, I think it's more than 26 million examples of this kind of content.
Didn't take it down until a congressional staffer brought it up.
It may be that in this case we made a mistake and missed something.
I think you make a lot of mistakes, so let's
we have
move
leading
on.
teams that
I want to
identify
talk.
I find it totally disgusting that this is Mark Zuckerberg's answer nearly all the time. We missed it. Maybe we missed it. We missed it. Maybe we missed it. I wonder what would have happened if he would have missed one of his payments of the $800 million to the Democratic Party? What would have been done then? I wonder, and like I said, I got to be critical about this. Even though I did say that I'm going to give the Democrats that are against him also during this hearing the benefit of the doubt, you know, I'm hoping and praying that their heart and their mind is in the right place on this one. Okay? But I wonder if they knew of any of this when he pulled out that fat checkbook to donate to their party and their campaigns. You know, Mark Zuckerberg, and I've said it in a few of my other videos, he sold himself a long time ago to the powers that be. And I'll say it now. This is why I'm a little suspect with this coming from the Democratic side, but I will still give them the benefit of the doubt. But let's continue.
Talked with you about your Instagram creators program and about the push. We found out through these documents that you actually are pushing forward because you want to bring kids in early. You see these younger teenagers as valuable but an untapped audience, quoting from the emails, and suggesting teens are actually household influencers to bring their younger siblings into your platform, into Instagram. Now, how can you ensure that Instagram creators, your product, your program, does not facilitate illegal activities when you fail to remove content pertaining to the sale of minors? And it is happening once every 2 minutes in this country.
Senator, our tools for identifying that kind of content are industry leading. That doesn't mean we're perfect. There are definitely issues that we have, but we continue to
Mr.
invest in time.
Zuckerberg, yes, there are a lot that is slipping through. It appears that you're trying to be the premier sex trafficking
Of course
site
not, Senator.
in this country.
Senator, that's ridiculous.
No, it
Senator,
is not ridiculous. You
of course
want to
we don't
turn
want
around
this-
and
we
tell
don't want
these
this
people
content on
that,
our platforms. And we
why don't you take it down?
We do take it
We
down.
are here discussing,
We
we
do
need
more work to take
you
it
all
down
to
than-
work
than-
with
than-
us. No, you're not. You are not. And the problem is, we've been working on this. Senator Welch is over there. We've been working on this stuff for a decade. You have an army of lawyers and lobbyists that have fought us on this every step of the way. You work with NetChoice, the Cato Institute, Taxpayers Protection Alliance, and Chamber of Progress to actually fight our bipartisan legislation to keep kids safe online. So are you going to stop funding these groups? Are you going to stop lobbying against this and come to the table and work with us? Yes or no?
Senator, we have a.
Yes or no?
Of course, we'll work with you on the legislation.
Okay, the
Evidence, it's
door
been hard
is
to-
open. We've got all these bills. You need to come to the table. Each and every one of you need to come to the table. And you need to work with us. Kids are dying.
And there you go, folks. And that was just 2 clips today from this hearing. From what I've seen, this hearing must have went on for hours. Okay, but this situation has been going on. I mean, number one, since the beginning of time. Okay, sadly. Number two, since the start of the internet. Okay, and it was just going to get more rampant and more rampant and more rampant. I mean, there was a TikTok influencer who was an adult dancer, female dancer, who put herself out there and said that people need to stop letting their kids put out all these videos of themselves, because if you notice on the social media platforms, you'll have like a 9-year-old girl doing yoga, but yet she has like 1 million views. That's not because regular people or 1 million kids around the world want to see her doing yoga. Think about it, people. It's opening up doors, like she said, to the pedophile rings. Now, I can say that word. You know why? She said it. Forbes was given permission to go out there and say it. Because it's the truth. And if anybody is against this, any social media platform, any adult, anybody's against using these words like this online, then you know what? You are part of the problem and doing it a disservice, because you need to call out exactly what is going on. And when you have people like Mark Zuckerberg who put a price on a child, that is like putting a price on a stock. Plain and simple. Okay? Because billions upon billions of dollars are being made. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay? Can kids do things online where a company can make money off of them for selling a certain product? I mean, you know, you see it all the time with sneaker commercials or clothes commercials or whatever the case is. I mean, yes, it can be done. But when you're being investigated, when your company's being investigated because there is something wrong going on, that people are seeing it, and children are getting hurt outside of the home because they were just on a social media platform, we hear it all the time, people. Of kids meeting up with strangers, and you would think that in this day and age, you would think parents out there will put more safeguards at the home for their children. But here's the thing to that. And this is why I say that when it comes to the Democrats, and I'll say it, it's suspect. Because who was the first one pushing for a child to have their own freedom, to stand up against their parents, to lie behind their parents' backs in schools about certain things? It's always the left. So here we are once again, where the powers that be had somebody doing their bidding for them, i.e. Mark Zuckerberg, donating all this money, but they put no checks and balances on what he was doing with his company. Or maybe they did, and they just, $800 million, anything could be forgotten. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying that's what they did, but you know what? I'm the kind of person, when they say you got to think outside the box, I think out the box that was dropped off the truck down the road in the street. That's how far out the box I think. Okay? You have to. You know why? Because there's sinister people out there thinking way outside the box to try to hide their sinister deeds. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, pass it around. And seriously, people, pass it around. When it comes to the kids, man, we cannot take any chances. Especially in this day and age. Especially with the state of affairs that are going on. Okay? Especially with all, and I'm going to say it, especially with all the criminals that are crossing the border that they're catching. They've caught so many child traffickers, so many rapists, so many people that kidnap people. I mean, it's bad enough we have the homegrown ones here. We don't need any more coming in, threatening. Because it's just coming from all sides now. From home, online, in the streets, across the border. And it's not just here in America. Okay? We're listening to this hearing here in America. But this is happening all around the world. Remember that. It's happening all around the world. So remember, stay vigilant. Keep praying for each other. And keep praying for the children. Peace.